It is December 9th, 2023, and we have made a lot of progress since the last time I made a video on this tractor. Since then, we got the motor stuffed in it, and a lot of other components. Got some stuff rebuilt. Rebuilt some stuff myself, actually. And it's nearing completion. We're about ready for the first start. Need a couple odds and ends. What's holding us up with the project right now, we're looking for some hydraulic fittings that are not easy to come by, and we're looking for an air cleaner too. That's the two big things that I'm waiting on to be able to test fire this. But everything else is done. Motor is paired with the transmission, brand new clutch, all the hydraulic reservoir, the transmission, transfer case, that's all been cleaned out, all new fresh oils and everything. And the first test fire should be right around the corner. So as I've said in previous videos, the motor that I stuffed in this thing is a little bit longer than what was ever factory. And because of that, the front motor mount had to be moved ahead some. Originally it was clear back here, but since the motor is longer, to compensate, it got moved, torched, moved, and re-welded in place. And now it sits further ahead in the frame. Nothing wrong with that. Everything still clears because the radiator has adjustable spots. Originally, these bolts were clear back here, and the radiator sat right here. But now, it's moved ahead, motor block can come out more, and then this front motor support gets put in there. Because of all that modification, we had to cut some of the fan shroud out, just to make everything clear. It's no big deal, it all still fits. We got all new, brand new belts on the motor, don't want it overheating. Hydraulic pump, fully rebuilt, ready to go, shouldn't have an issue there. Got all seals in it and stuff. Hydraulic line, pressure line for it, and feed line coming up to it. Throttle, I had to modify a throttle. The arm off the old motor was not the same, so there's the modification that was done there. It's adjustable too, like the old one. Starter, that was an interesting one. The starter that came with this motor was a 24 volt starter. Unfortunately, I can't use a 24 volt starter on this tractor. However, the 12 volt starter that come off it originally did not have a problem. The big issue was that the gear, since this motor is a bigger class bell housing, was a different size gear than what was factory on these. So I had to gut that starter and switch out the gears on the end of them and put it all back together, and I've never tore a starter apart. I had no clue what I was doing, but it works. Don't ask me how. I got all the wiring done. There's a couple wires here and there that I got to put back together, like for the fuel solenoid and stuff like that. Here's a little close-up on the rear motor mounts. We ended up cutting some square tubing and basically raised it up just probably 2 inches or so and mounted the old mounts. Nothing really changed there, just a little bit higher. The only part that changed motor mount wise drastically was in the front when we moved the front support ahead. Here's something else that changed. This is the factory hood support. Your hood gets bolted down up top there and the sides get bolted to the frame. Originally this was all one piece. This whole center section was filled with steel. I had to chop it out of it because factory where this sets is the back of the head of this thing. And that ain't going to clear like that. So, trim that up. That should all fit like it normally would factory. Something else I had to change. We rotated the hydraulic filter. You can see it there, the red shiny thing. Instead of it being vertical, it's horizontal to be able to clear the front motor mount support. Got brand new belts in here. Brand new master for slave and clutch. And if you're ever wondering, part numbers are exactly the same for each. They both work. You could switch them, you could flop them, and they'll both do the same job. Same with the slave. The slave cylinders on both your brake and clutch are the same on these, and they are interchangeable. Something else too, brand new exhaust, top to bottom. That is, except for the flap cap. Got some flex pipe in there, and a bunch of elbows to make it all work, and then a nice big piece of galvanized right up to the top. What else happened in here? Some more wiring happened on this side, new filters, nothing special. So no wonder the hydraulic system failed in this tractor. I ended up cleaning out the hydraulic reservoir here on the front and I couldn't tell you how much sludge and metal shavings and crap I found in that thing. But that's all cleaned out. The transmission's cleaned out. The oil reservoir for the transmission is cleaned out, and the transfer case. All of which are refilled with oil, except for the hydraulic reservoir here. I'm waiting on that until I get the last few hydraulic lines put together. Waiting on a steering line and a feed line for the hydraulic pump. AC compressor and alternator are mounted. Gotta finish wiring those too. All the coolers are mounted. So, to give you a little idea what this is going to look like for the air cleaner setup, here's what I'm thinking about. And I'm going to have to go to a scrapyard to acquire it, but it might not look exactly like that, but it'll look pretty darn close. So up in the cab here, definitely not done yet, but we're getting really close. I got all the dash lights working again. You can kind of see that. I got to finish wiring the dash light for the tack yet. New water temperature sensor and gauge. Oil pressure gauge is new. Tachometer is new. Sensor for the tachometer is new. Some other odds and ends I'm not thinking of at the moment. I got the reupholstered seat mounted back in the cab. So a little bit on the steering wheel here. When I got this tractor, the turn signal lever was broke clean out of it. There was nothing there, just a hole. And the wipers wouldn't turn off, and so many other things were messed up. The tilt was a little messed up. The ignition was just absolutely screwed. You couldn't use the key. You had to use a screwdriver. Just mountains and mountains of things wrong with it. So I found a guy. I'll include the link to his website in the description, but he did an absolutely amazing job on this steering column. Painted it top to bottom, put bearings in it, put switches in it, everything. That's all he does is rebuild stuff for these old Steigers, and I couldn't recommend him more than what he did here was amazing. And the ignition works as it should, clicks and everything. The turn signal and wiper switch works as it should. It tilts correctly, and even will telescope correctly. Very, very satisfied with his work. After many, many hours and many, many days of work on this project, I finally have some progress to show you. Right now, I have it set up on a push button. So, turn the key, push button, it'll fire. I have the starter all wired up. I have absolutely no clue if any of this is going to work. It should. There shouldn't be anything stopping it. I have the fuel solenoid disconnected just in the case it tries to run. I don't want it to run yet because I don't have hydraulic fluid in it, but nonetheless.